Welcome. Nice to have you here. So this is our Relax into Health, Wealth, and Happiness meeting. And as usual, I think it will be helpful if I briefly explain what the intention is and how you can benefit from it. So the intention is self-realization. The intention is to support your discovery of who you are, what you truly want, how to achieve what you truly want. And all of the qualities that come with that, which are harmony, peace, contentment, fulfillment. And the way that you can best benefit from this meeting is to follow the instructions of the name of the meeting, which is to relax into health, wealth, and happiness. So maybe you've heard me say this before and you are anticipating what I'm going to say, and so you think you already know, and then you just kind of tune out. Pretend you don't know, because that would actually be true. Even if I say the same words, just pretend you don't know, because you don't know. And if you don't know, and you know you don't know, and you tell the truth about that, then you can actually benefit. So because it's to receive really is what you really want. So that's what relaxing means, is to receive. Relaxation in this case is a receptivity to yourself. And that means that you have to be present. And in order to be present, this is all going to sound a little bit circular. It is a bit circular, but in order to be present, you have to let go. So you can't force presence. You can't bring that about by straining or by exerting yourself in the usual way that we tend to exert ourselves. You have to let go of all of the habitual things in order to be open to receiving yourself as you are. And that's where all the benefits come from. The benefits that you really want in life are not things that can be gotten. They're not things that can be attained in the future. They're not things that you can get hold of. What you really want, what really nourishes, what really offers the true value in life is who you are. And that is only available by being present. Because otherwise, and this is the topic that I'd like to explore today, otherwise what happens is, and this is what's going on for 99+% of the people, 99+% of the time, even though most people would deny it, is that they're not at all present to what is actually here. They're completely asleep, and they're just dreaming the past, believing that they're awake to the present. So this is, as I say, it's a very important topic, and yet it's one that I think is often very challenging for people to accept or understand, or work with. So that's the goal and the challenge and the opportunity for today, is to actually discover something new and fresh that can help you today and for the rest of your life to let go of a type of self-harm that is uh, insidious. Because, as I say, it's what 99+% of the people are doing 99+% of the time, and yet nobody knows that's happening. So another related theme that we'll see if I can weave in here, because, as I say, it's related, is a theme that I've brought up before, and it's also one of those themes that is, I think most people find to be very challenging. It's the one that I seem to get the most pushback on, is that everything that is happening is good. And I understand why people are challenged by that, because if it's taken in a way other than the way that's intended, then it seems very offensive, because obviously many things don't seem good at all. And so we'll see if maybe today that topic can also be clearer and more helpful and useful to you in your life, because that's the intention here. It's not just intellectual well, it's not just intellectual. The intellectual is of very little value in all of this. So that's not the intention here, is just to explore this at an intellectual level. In fact, it's really the purpose is only to point so that you can have the direct experience of what's being pointed to. So the intellectual level is is not the direct experience. In fact, the intellectual level is really just what I've been saying is the trap that most people are falling into most of the time, which is to be asleep and dreaming the past, but believing that they're awake to the present, believing that they're perceiving what's happening now, when in fact all that they're doing is hallucinating the past. And it's not even really the past, it's just their own version of the past. So let's dig into it and see if this can connect for you. So the first thing is, for this to be really valuable, it will be helpful if you can have the direct experience of being here present, of actually being present to what is. And so let's see if that's possible. It's not hard. It's, in fact, profoundly easy. It's very restful. There's no effort involved. So I'll invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. If you find that uncomfortable, then you needn't do it. But if it is comfortable, it will be helpful, because the visual stimulation is occupying a great deal of your attention. And it's very difficult at least initially, to get around that. But if you simply close the eyes, then it dampens down the visual stimulation. So it's helpful in that regard. Because otherwise, you can't help it. It's happening automatically. Your brain is just giving you so many pieces of information that are all from the past. And there's just so much noise and clutter that it's very difficult to actually notice what is. You're just noticing your version of what was overlaid. So again, if you are comfortable closing the eyes, then this will be helpful. Now, even with eyes closed, there's still a lot of stimulation going on because your nervous system is accustomed to functioning in a particular way. And so just closing the eyes doesn't usually stop that. It might, but usually it won't. So that mode is usually, for most people, still going to be the dominant mode. And so you'll be perceiving still through that. And what is inserted, so what that mode of operation inserts into every moment, every perception, every thought. And it happens so subtly and so quickly that it's very difficult to notice it, but I'm just going to point it out, is it inserts me. And so everything that is perceived or thought of is relative to that me. That me is inserted there before anything else comes. So it's not my thought. I mean, rather, it's not a thought, it's my thought. This is my thought. It has to do with me. It's not just a sensation, it's my sensation. It has to do with me. It's not just a memory, it's my memory. It has to do with me. Everything has to do with me. And I'm not pointing this out so that you can change that. You won't change it, so don't bother. It's a function of the nervous system. Because if you didn't have that, then, well, you wouldn't exist. Because your ancestors would have been all eaten, because there would have been nothing that would have prompted them to take any action to feed themselves or to avoid being eaten. There needs to be that, right? There has to be something that says, this is me, this is my body, this is my sensation, these are my thoughts, this is my family, my people, my place, my life. So it's not bad, but we just want to know that that's there. So that mode of the nervous system is always doing that. And if you try to stop it, you're wasting your time. If you try to change it, you're probably wasting your time. If you're trying anything, you're probably wasting your time. Now, this might seem very frustrating, because I'm saying everything that you might try is a waste of time, and everything that you know to do is some kind of trying. But just have some patience and trust that there's another possibility, because there's another mode of operation that's available to you. And in fact, it's a mode of operation that is more primary, more primary in the sense that it is more foundational. So it's not something that you need to create or develop. It's already fully here. It's inherent. You already have it. You couldn't exist without it. But because you're habituated to the me mode, which again is not, it's not bad to have the me mode. It's very useful. It's functional. Without it, you wouldn't exist. You wouldn't continue to exist, at least not for very long. So we don't need to go to war with it. It's not problematic, but rather we just want to see that that mode, that me mode, has dominated because everybody is more or less functioning from that most of the time. And so it's rare, or at least it has been rare, for there to be people, a substantial number of people at least, who are functioning more dominantly from this primary mode. And so we lose sight of it. We forget that it even exists, even though it's here all the time. It just becomes invisible because we're accustomed to the me mode. And the me mode is constantly about me, obviously. And this other mode is not about me. And so we forget about it because we're just accustomed to seeing only what is me or what seems to apply to me. But just notice that before me, there's awareness. It has to be awareness before there can be me. Without awareness, there's no me. That's why I say that this other mode is primary or foundational, because without it, nothing else can be. There can be no me without awareness. Now, the language is tricky because we're accustomed to saying, oh, awareness, my awareness, I'm aware, me is aware. But you just have to relax more. Just slow down. Just notice that you are aware of the thoughts before there's any sense that it's my thought. Before there's even a thought, there's simply the awareness. And that awareness doesn't belong to anyone. It's not, there's no one for it to belong to. It's not your awareness. You are the awareness. And again, you can't get this because if you're trying to get it, then there's already inserted into that is someone who's going to get it. So you're already leaping into the me mode. But this is prior to that. So you just relax. Don't try to get it because there's no need to get it. This is already who you are. And it will become clear to you. Or I should say it will just become clear because it can't become clear to you, but it will become clear. And then usually there's a tendency then again there's the clarity and then there's this attempt to get it. There'll be this flash of clarity and then the me mode comes back online and says, ooh, what is that? How am I going to get that? But then it's gone. Where did it go? But you just have to keep trusting. Just relax and just notice it's totally trustworthy. This awareness, or whatever we want to call it, presence, consciousness, awareness, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter what you call it. But just notice that it's totally dependable. So the me mode is insecure, always insecure. And so it's always trying to get more and get something that it can hold on to forever. And so because we're habituated to that mode, then again, even though there's this flash of realization, this clarity that's independent of that mode, independent of me, then again, this thing comes back and it says, "Ooh, I got to get that. That seems very attractive. I need it. That's the thing that's going to finally help me." And so it tries to get it, but it can't, because as soon as that's here, then it's looking for something that it can't find, because it is always assuming that there's a me that has to get something. And this is prior to the me. So there's no way that the me can get it, because it's the me is trying to think if there's a good analogy for this. Nothing that comes to mind, but it's totally invisible to the me. The me will never be able to get it. But that doesn't mean that it's not real and that it doesn't exist and that it's not already who you are. But it just requires this relaxation of that dominance of the me mode. Because again, this, what I'm calling awareness, you could call it anything, openness, clarity, stillness, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it awareness. This awareness, as I've said, it's totally trustworthy. It's totally dependable, reliable. It's always here. There's no insecurity. The me comes and goes because the me has to be inserted into every momentary, temporary thing. And those momentary, temporary things are flashing in and out of existence so fast. So it's like, it gives the illusion of a continuity, but actually they're just flashing in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. And so that me is being inserted into every one of those. And so there's no security in that, but it's constantly looking for security because that's the thing it lacks. Because of the habituation of the dominance of that mode, we are looking to get security for that me, but it's an impossibility because the me is inherently insecure. It's flashing in and out. We just don't recognize that because it's happening so fast. But just again, relax and notice every time you let go. Every time you let go, if you just let go just for half a second, and then notice you're still here. Don't try to get this with the mind. Don't try to turn it into some philosophy. Just see the truth of it in the moment. Just keep letting go. Just let go. And don't try to sustain letting go, because that becomes strenuous. But just let go, and then let go, and then let go. Or if that's too fast, then just let go, and then let go again. Or if that's still too fast, you do it at your own pace. But each time you let go, letting go just means just drop it. Just don't grasp. Just don't try for an instant, just for one instant. Notice each time you are here. And you don't know who you are. It's not, there's no me, there's no qualities attached to it. It's not you, a great you or a terrible you. It's not, an attractive you or an unattractive you. It's none of those things. It's it's who you are prior to all of that. So no qualities, but undeniable, here you are. And notice that this is absolutely continuous. That's the point of each time you let go, you notice you're here, it's here, you are here, this is here, here-ness is hearing, presence is present, always reliably, and you can't muck it up because there's no you to do it. You are this continuous presence. It's not something you earn. It's a given. So hopefully that gives you a direct experience. If you'd like to keep your eyes closed, you're welcome to. If you'd like to open the eyes, then feel free. So this is, as I said, the intention here is that you have this direct experience of this recognition of what presence is, so that you can recognize it's not something that you're going to do. You're not going to do presence. You're not going to become present. Although we might, because of the language, sometimes say things like that, but it's not true. We can't become present. We are present. We are presence. It's already true, but it's not that you or as a me, as some separate thing, is going to have that, because that's not a possibility, because that's putting the cart before the horse. You already are presence. That's who you actually are, or that's the foundational truth of yourself. And then inserted, because there's this other mode, which again is not bad, it's functional. There's this me mode, and that me mode inserts this idea of yourself, which again is functional, because otherwise you wouldn't do anything. You would not attend to your basic needs. And apparently this happens to some people. Apparently it happens on occasion that somebody just pops and there's no longer any identification at all with the me mode. And so that person might just sit there drooling. And if they're not attended to by someone else, then they'll just sit there drooling until they don't. So we don't need to make that me mode bad, but we just want to see that it's not the only game in town, and that it's not even the most fundamental game in town, and that it has some inherent limitations. And we want to start to see what it actually is, how it actually works. And so we can start to distinguish between I'll call it awareness mode and me mode, just for a way to reference these two modes. So we want to start to be able to differentiate between awareness mode and me mode, and we want to start to see what they are, how they function. Because if we don't have both, if we don't have an understanding of both, we can't recognize and differentiate between them, then we're at a disadvantage. And maybe, I hope that's clear why that would be, but I'll just briefly make it explicit. Because as I've already said, if you don't have the me mode, then you're not going to be functional, and at least not for very long. Not and not without a lot of support. And so maybe there are certain scenarios in which that's optimal. I mean, certainly not. You think about how much of your energy and time and attention goes to managing the me. It's overwhelming. It's an enormous amount of time and energy and attention goes to managing the me. And it's not bad. Again, I want to be clear about that. So don't forget about trying to fix that or change that. It's just how it is. It's just this me requires a lot of maintenance. You got to feed it and clothe it and shelter it and pay the bills and all these things that have to be done. So the vast majority of your time and energy and attention goes to managing the me, and that's just how it is. So in that sense, if that was no longer happening, if that was no longer requiring any of your attention or energy or time, boy, you would be freed up, wouldn't you? I mean, and so in some senses, it's an incredibly desirable state. And this is why people meditate, is to be able to have that experience of that state. So it's very, very desirable and wonderful. And so in some sense, in some certain contexts, maybe that's really the optimal thing. But for the majority of us, we're here to experience this life as a person, and so we've got a me mode. It's not by mistake. It's not bad. God don't make no junk. So there's no mistakes. It's all perfect. But it's we're gifted with all of this so that we can uh, we can learn to make the best use of it. And so we're just needing to learn. That's all. So that's the opportunity available to us, is that we can learn, and we want to learn by step one, recognizing that these two modes exist, and then we want to see what each one is and how we can best balance things. So understand that the me mode is necessary for being a functional human. Is not inherently bad or problematic, but it does have limitations. And if we don't keep that in perspective, and if we allow ourselves to be dominated by it, then we suffer from those limitations because we believe that we are those limitations, and we can't see beyond them because we're only functioning from that me mode. So awareness mode is infinite, unbounded, limitless, pure potential. Everything exists all potential exists here. And maybe that seems like a bold claim, but you can just demonstrate it to yourself, at least if you're able to glimpse this. Just notice that here, out of this awareness, everything emerges. And there's no limit to it. At the very least, you can see that at the level of your imagination, or at the level of thought, which is all emerging from awareness, it's totally limitless. So anything could occur. So even if you believe there's certain limitations at the physical level, at least at those levels, it's limitless. I'd argue that it's limitless at all levels, but it's just a matter of having proper understanding, which is the intention with this exploration today. So Awareness is limitless, pure potential, infinite, unbounded. But it's also unmanifest. So even though it's infinite potential, it's not experienced because there's no experiencer. That makes sense. It's just is. So in order for there to be the experience, there has to be these limitations. So the me mode is there. The me mode, because then there's someone to experience. There's a sense of some experiencer and some experience and something experienced. But notice that already right away is a limitation. There's already a division. I'm the experiencer. I'm having an experience. I'm experiencing what is experienced. So I'm not what's experienced. I'm separate at this level. That's a perception. So there are filters that are put into place. I can't experience everything. I have to experience something. So it has to be filtered down to something instead of infinite potential, which is nothing. It's infinite potential. There's the potential for everything, but it's nothing in and of itself. So in order for it to be something, there has to be a limitation. It's like if you've got a often attributed quote to Michelangelo is that correct? Michelangelo, the David, Michelangelo. I think it's Michelangelo. Anyway, whoever carved the David is often quoted as saying that they just took away everything that was not the David, because it's a block of marble. And so in that way, here we've got sort of infinite block of marble, as it were, undifferentiated. So the David exists in it potentially, but in order to actually perceive and experience it, we have to take away everything that it's not. So there's a limitation, there's a filter that's there. So the me is made of these limitations and filters. The me mode is limited, differentiated. It says this, not that. And this is not bad. It's just how it works. But here's the problem is when we're living from that mode dominantly and we fall into the trap of believing I am that me. And then all of the limitations we're stuck with because we're bound up in it. The me is those limitations. If you are the me, you can't change the limitations. You are the limitations. So this is why most people, most of the time, are asleep, but they believe they're awake. And so what I mean by this is they are hypnotized by the me mode. They're believing that they are the me, and the me is all these limitations, and they believe they are the limitations. And they don't realize that what they're actually doing is they're just dreaming the past, because that's all that's possible here with the me. Is you can only, at the level of the me, you can only dream the past. There's nothing new that can happen, because newness by its nature only comes from awareness. So just consider again what I'm pointing out. Me mode is differentiated, limited. This is not bad. that's its function. It says, I am not that. These are my beliefs, this is my world, these are my limitations, this is me. And it serves its purpose is to then protect that, maintain that. So you might say, well, I don't really like this me so much. At the level of the me, you can't do anything about it, because at the level of the me, you are that. Try as you might, you cannot change it. You might be able to rearrange the furniture, but you cannot fundamentally change it, because that me is composed of those limitations. You can't do anything about it. It's defined by its dream of the past. So, and when I say it's dream of the past, I mean this me that you identify with, it has a family history, it's got genetic history, ancestral history, all of this stuff. And so there's this huge momentum of the past, and it just repeats. And you might say, oh, that can't be, or there's got to be some other way. But at that level, that's all that's possible, because you can't insert anything new, because all that's possible at that level is just to recycle what's already there. So you're not actually perceiving what's here, you're perceiving the overlay of the past, which is inherited from your genetics and from your own experiences. So, and this is, I'm not going to try and give you huge amounts of evidence in support of this, but the evidence exists. I mean, there's been quite a lot of research demonstrating that this is true at many levels, neurologically true. I mean, it's just true on many levels, that people think that they're perceiving what is, but they're just perceiving their own past. That's it. That's why people can't agree on anything, because nobody's actually perceiving what is. They're perceiving their own past. And that's why people go to war, is to defend their own past, even though their own past was ultimately unfulfilling. So that might sound terrible, but it's not terrible. It's the function of that me mode. But the good news is that it is possible to introduce change. Newness is possible, but it can only arise from awareness, because awareness is the source. Once it's at the point of differentiated me mode, it's already locked into those limitations. So if you just function from there, you're just stuck with those same limitations. Try whatever you want to try, you're just going to be stuck with those same limitations. Again, you can rearrange the furniture, you can convince yourself that you're making some change, but you will find over a long period of time, if you stay stuck in that mode, that you'll eventually see that no real change has taken place. If you haven't experienced that, then you will, if you stay stuck at that mode, because you'll just eventually see, and I'm sure you have seen, if you tell the truth, because what I'm describing is just a truth, that you can deceive yourself for just so long, and then it will all come crashing down, and you'll realize in some terrible moment that nothing has changed. You've tried and tried and tried, and you were convincing yourself that finally this is something new, and it turns out it wasn't. So long as you're just functioning from that me mode. But when you have the proper understanding and the direct experience of awareness mode, and you learn how to access awareness mode and to begin to dance between these two modes, then something really wonderful is possible. So a lot of the time, there's certain schools, we'll say, or systems or philosophies or whatever you want to call them that emphasize awareness only. And awareness only can give great bliss, no question about it, but it's great bliss for nobody, which is not problematic. But it doesn't, if that's all that's emphasized and the me mode is de-emphasized, and there's an attempt to deconstruct the me mode entirely, then what happens is that you're just the result is awareness, but without integration with me mode. So there's no play, there's no dance between these modes. It's just awareness, 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 and we just try to obliterate the me mode. So that's fine, and if that's your thing, then that's your thing. Go for it. But it's actually can't be your thing because there would be eventually there's no you there. I mean that's the thing about it. It was not bad. I have no problem with it, but it's just we want to see what our options are and tell the truth about who we are and what we're up to. So a lot of people are very focused only on me mode, and me mode ultimately is just going to, all it can do, as I've said, is it just can rearrange the furniture, but it can't make any fundamental change. So you're stuck with what is, or rather what was. That's why they say, those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. I would say even those who do study history are doomed to repeat it, regardless of if you're functioning only from me mode exclusively, whether you have awareness, whether you've studied history or not, you're doomed to repeat it because me mode can only repeat the past. But there's a possibility, there's a third possibility, which is integration, because both exist. Hopefully that's clear to you, because again, I said my intention was to give you the direct, or offer you the opportunity of the direct experience so that you can start to discover directly for yourself how something new is possible. So by learning how to access awareness mode, then there can be a play where we can then introduce newness into me mode, where we can actually change me mode. So how do we change me mode? So we start to actually witness me mode from awareness, because both at a certain point it seems like either or, like you're either functioning from awareness or me mode. They seem to be mutually exclusive, but with practice and intention you start to realize actually they coexist, and it is possible to perceive me mode from awareness. And so we're not trying to obliterate me mode. We're actually starting to perceive me mode from awareness, and therefore we can actually start to introduce change because we can see me mode and we can start to see what's happening, and we can see, because from awareness we can see just what is without the overlay, and then we can also see without being identified. We can actually see the me mode and see the limitations of it, and then start to dissolve through that awareness, start to dissolve the limitations. Because why? because we're outside of it. We're not bound up in it. Like I've often used that expression that you can't pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. So when you're in me mode, you're in your own boots. You're trying to lift yourself up. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. But when you're in awareness and you are witnessing me mode, then you have the ability to, it's easy peasy. Oh, here, let me lift those boots up. And you say, I don't like those boots. Let's get some new boots. No boots at all. Let's go barefoot. Whatever you want to do from awareness is very easy. So step one, I like to do things in steps. I don't know if that's helpful, but I'll just give them some steps. Step one, you want to have the experience, the direct experience of being able to shift to awareness mode. Just releasing the fixation on me mode, shifting to awareness mode. The more you practice, the easier it is. Second, then you want to start to be able to, remaining in awareness mode, start to actually observe me mode, so that you start to see the hypnosis, the dream that's appearing in me mode as though it was the totality of what is. But from awareness, you see, oh, it's just one possibility. It's just one dream. Why? Because from awareness, you realize it's infinite. In this present moment, as infinite unbounded awareness, there are no limitations. There's no limitation at all. That doesn't mean that, because again, me mode and awareness mode coexist simultaneously. So I'm not saying that all of the appearance is not there. There might be all of that, all of the thoughts and the sensations and the memories and all the stuff are happening. But with enough practice, it's possible to remain with awareness mode dominant and start to see that coexisting. So here I am recognizing myself as awareness, and there's a recognition that everything is possible. There's infinite potential. There's no limitation inherent here, regardless of what's appearing. So the appearance might be that there's pain and fear and frustration and anger and resentment and whatever, all the things that might be there. But there's simultaneous and dominant is the sense of unlimited potential. So I can see, yes, there's this me that I have a habit of identifying with that has all of these inherent limitations, all of these problems. And there's maybe even a pull to identify as it and try to live my life from there. But there's also this awareness of limitlessness. So I want to just allow this awareness of limitlessness to just remain here as my dominant mode. And then I can start to observe the me mode, and I see, oh, gee, that's my belief. That's the belief that I have at the me mode. No wonder I'm having that experience. That's a terrible belief. You start to see it's just a belief. At the me mode, it seems like reality. Hey, look, it is real. Nobody loves me. I've got all the evidence that I need. Everybody thinks I'm a jerk. Everybody treats me badly. Can't get a lucky break. Whatever. We've got our stories, right? And you say, look, it's true, because at that level, at the me mode, it is true, because that limitation is inherent in that me mode at that level, at that time. That me is that limitation. It's defined by that. And that me can't change itself. But awareness can, because awareness is outside of that, and awareness is the source of that, awareness has the ability to introduce the change. And first, all it has to do is just remain as awareness and just see, oh yeah, that's a belief. Oh yeah, that's my past that I'm dreaming. I'm not, you just start to see, oh yeah, all of this stuff that's popping up and masquerading as reality is just a dream of the past, because that's what I believed in the past. That's what my parents believed. That's what their parents believe. That's what people in this part of the world believe. That's how they operate. But and it's maybe in some ways gotten more challenging, less challenging. I don't know, the different kind of challenges. There's a certain kind of challenge because of the dominance of this materialistic technological culture uh, that says we've achieved the supreme understanding. You know, everybody else that's come before was naive and stupid and backward, but thank goodness finally we've arrived at the true understanding that science delivers us, and we know what things are. And so that kind of very heavy-handed uh, belief system can have a blinding effect, because then we think, oh yeah, all of what the world tells me is real. That's the only reality. That's what really is. If the authority says so, then it is so, because science says so, because it's backed up by that. And so that can be, there's a challenge in that, because we have to, again, establish ourselves in the awareness modes adequately to be able to be outside of that limitation of the me, so that we can see that that limitation of the me is just a limitation of the me, but it's not an actual limitation that exists in the larger reality. In the larger reality, there is no limitation. So everything is possible. Everything, everything. No limit. Everything is possible. And so it can maybe be helpful to see that there are other people in other cultures, other times, other modes of perception have had, do have, will have very different experiences. And again, because of this dominant belief system that says this is the only truth, it's challenging to accept that for many of us. There's something there that's pulling us to stay within the limitations of the present me. That says, you know, oh, that's not possible. That's all fantasy. You know, oh, that's so cute that those people believe that you know, they believe that that's true, but that's not real. You know, miracles aren't real. That's just the people are just delusional. It's just a placebo effect. Whatever, you know, those people are all morons who believe whatever they believe, etc. But the more that you establish the dominance of not a balanced dominance, not to obliterate the me mode, but a balanced dominance of awareness mode, then you can start to have enough distance from the me mode that you can see that everything is possible. So then it starts to be that you start to recognize that you, as this miracle of life happening, this is what gets overlooked in a lot of the time, is that there's a miracle of life happening that we can talk and talk and talk and dissect it and whatever, but we will never understand it. It is a total miracle of life happening. No matter how we spin it, no matter what we do with it, we can say all kinds of things that may be helpful or unhelpful, but no matter what, at the end of the day, it is just a miracle. It's just a miracle happening. I mean, this is unbelievable. It is literally unbelievable. It's impossible to believe it. It's beyond belief, and it is happening undeniably. You don't understand it. You won't understand it, but it's happening. It's what an incredible thing. So that's the thing that really gets overlooked. And but when you establish this balanced dominance of the awareness mode, you start to open to that more and realize, holy cow, what a miraculous gift that this life is happening and that I am this life. And so there's something happening, and naturally within this, again, can't be understood. All of this talk is hopefully helpful, but it also has limitation, because if you try to turn it into your new philosophy for how you're going to live your life, it becomes tricky, because then you take out the miracle component of it, the aliveness component of it, and then you miss this key part, which is that when you really allow yourself to have this balanced dominance of the awareness mode, then it starts to become clear that this miracle of life is happening. It is happening in a way that you can't understand, but there is this natural desire, a natural desire that is perceived as and experienced as good. And the more that you can allow this yourself to remain in this balanced dominance of the awareness mode, you can allow that natural flow of life to give shape to the me mode in the most beautiful way. You can doubt yourself out of this. You can make yourself crazy and miserable trying to suck all the life out of life, but you could actually just surrender, and you could just notice that there's this aliveness, this miracle of aliveness that does naturally have some kind of desire. And that desire is experienced as this desire that this that can flow from awareness giving shape to the me in a way that is experienced as lovely. Not because there's a sense of lack that needs to be filled, because that's a hallmark of dominance of me mode. Because remember, me mode is inherently insecure because it's popping in and out of existence constantly. So there's no stability there. But it's like a work of art. It's a creative act that is occurring, that is occurring as this miracle of life, and it's happening through and as you. You can't even understand it, but it's true. You can experience it, and you just start to see that without identifying excessively with this me, but not denigrating it, you start to see this me is your child. It's your creation, and you love it. When you're not so tightly identified as it and fearful constantly about it, then you naturally allow this miracle flow of life through this natural desire of goodness, pleasure, happiness to give shape to this me in the moment. So that, and what I mean by this is, like, you see there's a limitation that's painful in this me mode, right? So from awareness, you can observe this me mode and you see, oh yeah, look, this me mode presently has this limitation that's come from wherever it's come from in the past, that says, oh, this is how things are, and I don't like it. Maybe it says, oh, I'm that I have to experience lack, I have to suffer, I have to have pain, nobody loves me, I'll lose everything, and endless possibilities, right? I mean, we've come up with lots of ways to generate misery, and in seeing that, then from the awareness of infinite possibility, and because there's not the tight identification with that me mode, there can just be a dissolving of it, and it dissolves back into awareness, which is its source. And then that flow that's happening as a miracle, not because you can pre-plan it, but just it's happening naturally. There's a desire of goodness that just naturally can flow as newness into this me that says, what is it that what is uh, what is a more truthful expression, understanding that it's also a limitation, it's not the whole, but a more truthful expression in this moment of what I desire, and that you just naturally allow to flow there. So you just start to see, oh, because it's out of love, seeing that this me mode is your child, your creation, you naturally want to give it your love. You say, oh, I have enough, I'm supported, I uh I enjoy my life, all, like, what is true and good in this moment naturally just flows there. So this makes it sound very easy, but it's not necessarily easy until it is. But maybe, hopefully, I've given enough suggestions that have helped you to see some glimpses of this for yourself that can help you to be able to actually apply it practically so that you can get results, because that is the intention. I don't know that I really was able to clearly tie in, although it's there for anybody who wants to see it, but I don't know that I was able to explicitly tie in how all of this points out how everything that happens is good. But if you contemplate it, you might see how that's true. So for those who are here live, I'm happy to stay on for Q&A, and for everybody who watches this on YouTube, this will be the end of the video.